Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and in today's video, we are going to be doing some more shorter-term technical analysis on Bitcoin because we are finally getting some movement on our favorite cryptocurrency, Bitcoin. As you guys will know, Bitcoin has been trading sideways for the last several weeks and has been acting very boring, but it now looks like Bitcoin is about to have a big breakout as we've seen a return to volatility overnight. As you guys can see, the Bitcoin bulls and the Bitcoin bears are starting to flex their muscles as we're having a return to volatility on Bitcoin. Bitcoin's volume, liquidity, retail and investor interest has not dropped off, so it makes sense that that volatility would be coming back after being constricted so much. In today's video, we're going to be discussing which direction Bitcoin is about to break out and what this breakout is going to look like for our favorite cryptocurrency. By the end of this video, not only are you going to have a better understanding of where Bitcoin is and where Bitcoin's going, you're going to have a better understanding of how to trade breakout markets such as the one that we're looking at right now. Guys, before we go ahead and dive on into the video, there is just one thing that I want to quickly mention, and that would be the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy. As you guys know, CT2A is what makes this channel possible and makes all of the massive upgrades that we're working on to this channel so that we can bring you higher quality content possible as well. If you guys would like to learn absolutely everything you need to know about technical analysis, please check us out at the link in the description down below. If you have any questions at all, feel free to email us at cryptojebb@gmail.com. More on that at the end of the video. But for now, though, guys, without much further ado, let's go ahead and dive right on into it. Now, the very first thing I want to say at the outset of this video is we just passed 43,000 subscribers. Huzzah! Welcome, everybody who is new here. All right, let's turn those lights off. Perfect. Anyway, guys, let's go ahead and get onto the chart. Guys, one thing I also want to mention at the beginning of this video is by the time this video goes live, there is a decent chance that volatility has returned in an even bigger way, and Bitcoin has dropped very much farther. Everything we talk about in this video will still be relevant even if Bitcoin does that during the production time of this video. So I would encourage you to continue watching even if that does happen. Guys, as you will be well aware of by now, Bitcoin has been trading sideways for several months at this point. And Bitcoin's volatility has dropped off a cliff. From Bitcoin moving on the order of 17% in just a few days a couple of weeks ago, Bitcoin now has a big movement that looks like 2% in a 7-hour period. As we can see, last night, Bitcoin started moving and tried to break to the upside. We rallied to almost exactly $10,000 on this wick and got rejected relatively hard. If you remember yesterday's video, we talked about how Bitcoin is looking bullish right now, but this level of resistance is just so strong that even though Bitcoin is bullish and should be able to trend to the upside, it's hard for Bitcoin to get through it because this is a massive major level of resistance that has been in play for multiple years. So guys, Bitcoin tried to rally to the upside last night, but got rejected pretty hard, and ever since then, Bitcoin has been trending to the downside. We've moved down 4% over the last 13 hours. So the question now becomes, is Bitcoin about to break to the downside as we've seen here? Well, guys, it seems like Bitcoin has broken below this uptrending level of support, so you might be wondering, well, if Bitcoin's broken below a 3-month uptrending level of support, why have we not broken bearish yet? But actually, we can redefine this level of support and say that Bitcoin hasn't actually broken bearish just yet. So what that means is that Bitcoin is still here in this critical decision phase. What is Bitcoin going to do? Is it going to break to the upside or to the downside? Let's talk about that. I'm going to come at you at the very beginning of this video and be brutally honest with you. I think Bitcoin's going to break to the downside here, and I think it's probably going to do it in the next 48 hours or like right now. What's going on the chart? Well, guys, as I'm saying that, Bitcoin has trended to the downside a little bit. See, we're testing this level of support very, very hard right now. The reason that I think Bitcoin is going to break to the downside is not because I'm bearish on Bitcoin. It's because of what we've seen in the last 48 hours on Bitcoin. Remember what we talked about in yesterday's video, that theory about Bitcoin needing to break to the upside, but needing to have some actual momentum to do so. You guys thought I was over-personifying the chart in the comments yesterday, but I really don't think that's the case. If you look back on the history of Bitcoin, normally for Bitcoin to break a massively strong level of resistance like this, it does need a little bit of a run-up. All technicals on the longer-term time frames from 4-hourly all the way out to the monthly are looking bullish on Bitcoin, but this is such a strong level of resistance, it would make sense for us to break to the downside, which, like I said, seems to be what's happening right now. Guys, the trend is your friend until it ends, and at the time of recording this video anyway, the trend is very much bearish, and it very much looks like Bitcoin is trying to break out here. Volume is returning to Bitcoin in a pretty big way, and I think we're going to head to the downside from this point. In fact, if I weren't recording, I might even go and open a short position on this spot right here with a very conservative stop loss, but I am recording, so I'm not going to do that. But let's talk about what happens if Bitcoin actually does break below $9,500, because that's about the level of support that we're sitting on at the time of recording this video, because I think that's what's going to happen, and I want to make sure this video is as relevant as possible when you guys see it. Guys, if Bitcoin breaks to the downside here, which it definitely looks like it's going to do, as you can see here, this is the largest volume candle we've had in about 10 days. This is a massive bearish engulfing candlestick. We saw green and a larger red to follow, and at the time of recording this video, we're falling below the 20 DEMA. Of course, this daily chart is not closed yet, so we don't know if that's going to have a candle body close below it, but Bitcoin does look bearish on the very short term, that being for the next couple of days. However, as we've talked about in other videos as well, the longer term technicals for Bitcoin are actually pretty bullish. Bitcoin's had a golden cross. Bitcoin has massive VPVR support under it, sitting around $8,800. Bitcoin has the 50 daily simple moving average sitting at $9,100 to act as support if we do break to the downside here. All of this to say that Bitcoin is looking relatively bearish in the short term, but take heart. There is a significant amount of support immediately beneath us. There is a significant amount of support allowing for Bitcoin to come to the downside, bounce, and have a healthy rally to the upside following. We're going to see if that happens. We don't know that that's going to happen, but that seems to be the most likely scenario, is that we break to the downside and we bounce, as we talked about in yesterday's video. So what would happen if Bitcoin does break to the downside here? Well, guys, it will be very important for one major reason, and that is that we would be breaking this uptrending level of support and redefining market structure in Bitcoin. However, it's not the end of the world. Like we said, we can bounce off of the 50. We could even come down to 8,200 and bounce off of the 200 moving average. That's why even though Bitcoin rallied very quickly and definitely did get a little overextended, Bitcoin is still doing okay, and I'm not too worried about it, because at the end of the day, Bitcoin can pull back $1,500 and still be above the 200 daily simple moving average. That is a very bullish thing for Bitcoin, and that is one of the signals of us being in a bull market, is that Bitcoin can have a healthy 20% correction to allow it to lock in gains and allow the bulls to take a breath, allow the bears to have their day, and Bitcoin will still be okay. We will still be able to bounce off of the 200 and move to the upside. Speaking of moving to the upside, take a look at the 200. What is the 200 moving average doing over the last couple of weeks? It's now trending to the upside for the first time. If you look in the history of the 200, for the first time since November. This moving average started trending to the downside, but what is it doing for the first time in a long time? It's starting to trend upwards. That is a very healthy sign. So here's what I think is going to happen, guys. You may know whether I'm right or wrong about this by the time the video comes out, because this may happen in the time that this video is being edited. I think there's a pretty decent chance that Bitcoin breaks bearish here and gets support pretty quickly. There's a smaller chance, but it's definitely there, that Bitcoin just flash crashes like $1,000. I've seen stuff like that happen, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think Bitcoin's probably going to crash to $9,000 at the most and find support around there. From there, there's a pretty good chance that Bitcoin will get support and that Bitcoin will be able to bounce and rally. Like I said, guys, the Bitcoin technicals and the Bitcoin fundamentals are still very bullish. We may be at the top of a rally and we may need to have a correction, but remember, the thing that allowed the 2016-17 bull market to be so healthy is that Bitcoin was able to have a 20 or 30% correction and it didn't end the bull market. In fact, looking back on these markets, it's striking when you realize Bitcoin would have a 40% pullback pretty much every single time that it needed to have a correction. Over and over again, 30 to 40% corrections, guys. We're talking billions of dollars of liquidity and volume and market capitalization leaving the space during those corrections, but Bitcoin was still strong because the fundamentals were still driving it and Bitcoin was able to bounce. So is a correction coming to Bitcoin right now? I hope so. If it doesn't, it isn't the end of the world, but also the point of this video is that if it does, it isn't the end of the world. Right now, Bitcoin is in an uptrend. A correction would be very healthy for Bitcoin if it's a sustainable correction, but at the end of the day, the most important message I can give you guys is not to FOMO. We have been very, very, very unfortunate over the last 2 years as far as Bitcoin correcting. However, right now, we're in a healthy market, and I think that's going to continue. There's no reason to be concerned just because Bitcoin has a small correction, and I don't want you guys to just pack your bags and leave the space, or just get rid of all of your Bitcoin or something because Bitcoin's having a little correction. Understand, corrections are a part of a healthy market structure. In the same way that forests need a controlled burn to allow the new growth to come, we need the exact same thing to happen in Bitcoin. There's nothing wrong with that. Whether or not we correct now or a month from now, Bitcoin's looking healthy. I'm excited about it, and I think now is a great time to be investing in cryptocurrency. Disclaimer, not financial advice. Anyway, guys, that's my take on the current market. When Bitcoin does finally have a breakout, we'll have some more interesting things to talk about. Bitcoin has been relatively boring lately, and I'm sure you guys can agree with that. I'm looking forward to some more volatility and movement and literally anything interesting happening to Bitcoin again. Sometimes Bitcoin goes through these periods where it's a little bit boring, but I think we're about to see an end to that as volatility returns. But anyway, guys, that's pretty much my current take on the market. I want to hear your take. What do you think about the current market? Tell us down below, and also feel free to follow follow us on Twitter at cryptojebb and let us know what you think over there. I love reading what you guys think about the markets because every time I do, it gives me another perspective, and that's really awesome. So make sure you let us know down below and over on Twitter. Anyway, guys, that is pretty much going to wrap it for today's video. Before I go, though, there is just one thing I want to briefly mention, and that would be the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy. As you guys know, there's a massive amount of expansion coming to this channel. We're taking new people onto the team. We're getting new spaces so that we can record better content. We're getting new camera equipment. There's all kinds of improvements and background things going on this channel right now. And all of those things take investment. And guys, every single one of you that joins CT2A, we've had dozens of you guys join in the last couple of days. Every single one of you that joins allows us to continue upgrading our production value and bringing you guys even better content here on YouTube. I think there's a massive deficiency of high-quality content on YouTube. No offense to the other crypto YouTubers, but when I look at channels that have 10 or 20 million subscribers, I'm like, wow, look at their production value. I want something like that in crypto. So that's what we're doing. We're building out a full team and a full production cycle so that we can bring you guys not only technical analysis, but high-quality content in every facet of cryptocurrency. But that is going to take time, and that is going to take work in the same way that it takes time and work to learn cryptocurrency markets. If you want to learn cryptocurrency markets, there are two ways to do it. Number one, you can do it the really, really slow way and try to teach yourself. I promise you guys, that is not the route you want to take. It takes a long, long time because you don't even know what questions you need to ask to get the answer to the question you didn't know existed. It took me thousands of hours to learn technical analysis, and you can go through this entire course in 10. Think about it. By this time next week, you could have gone through all this material and saved yourself 6, 8, 12 months of trying to learn the markets on your own. You're going to go through CT2A and come out the other side having a very strong foundation for understanding, reading, and trading these markets. If you think that's worthwhile, and I most certainly think it does, and I think our 1,800 students who have gone through the academy agree with me, then I would recommend you checking us out at the link in the description down below. Use the coupon code JUNE2020 at checkout to get $40 off. Anyway, guys, that is pretty much going to wrap it out for today's video. Before I go, though, like I said in the intro, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Oh, I got a real good feeling.